What is going on, YouTube? And welcome back to another fantastic fantasy football video. I'm back with you. Call me Troy, call me Pib, call me whatever you want. I'm excited to be back into this once again. Like I said, I plan on doing kind of a mini series here with the 10-team PPR leagues, going from that first spot all the way down to that 10th spot in sequential order, and trying to see what the teams look like, see the different kind of strategies you can go with. Obviously going QB early, going tight end early, waiting till the end of the draft, and trying to see how that pans out, of course. And the first round is going to be pretty important. After these first two episodes, it's when that starts to get a little mushy on where you want to take your pick as far as running backs goes, or if you want to dive into the Kelsey or wide receiver areas. So that's kind of where we're going to be looking at after today's episode. Of course, for us, it's still an easy choice of Dalvin Cook here at the number 2 spot. It's pretty easy. McCaffrey at 1, Cook at 2. Doesn't really change too much there, but also let me know. I saw this video, someone was talking about it, and would you guys want me to make a video that kind of talks about late round steals or players that you need to get towards the middle to the end of the drafts that could help you win a championship? Because I think really interesting. Not enough of those videos are made because they want to hide those picks for the future, but I think it's really important information to know the kind of players you can get at the ADP they're currently at. Of course, this is the going into the second week of August, so it'll change quite a bit going even into the end of the preseason. But this I'd really like to make a video like that, so let me know how you feel about that. Put that in the comments down below. Make sure to like and subscribe as well. But I think we got everything set up. Like I said, 10-team PPR once again. That'll be the remainder of this series, is 10-team PPRs 1 through 10. I actually took out the kicker and the defense this time as well. Didn't really matter at the end of the draft. I know you're gonna have those, but you obviously don't have to worry about those in the future, and you can always stream kickers and defense really easily, so don't have to worry about that too much. But 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex spot will be the case here. But let's just get it underway as we go into action. Okay, I'm gonna manually change this, and you take McCaffrey, because that's the whole point of this video. We're already starting off with a bang. Of course, the team at number 1 decided to take Dalvin Cook. I'm just gonna do this for convenience sake because McCaffrey's always going to be that number 1 pick. That doesn't change too much. So it is going to be Dalvin Cook for us. After that, Henry Kamara, Nick Chubb going quite early as well. Tyreek Hill, the first receiver at team 6. Barkley going in the first round too, which I think is deserved. He's still a fantastic running back. Talk about this, of course. His injury is a little sketchy. We don't know if he's going to play the first couple of weeks, but he still is going to come back and be a fantastic player. Travis Kelsey, the first tight end off the board. Then Jonathan Taylor and Eckler going into the second round. Hopkins, Mahomes, first quarterback. Diggs, Aaron Jones. Zeke going into the end of the second, or the middle of the second round, is quite surprising as well. Same with Devontae Adams. This draft is already all over the place. But then Najee Harris goes right before us. So like I said in the last video, Najee Harris is continuing to climb. Take him as your running back too if you can, because a lot of people are starting to really go up and grab him early in these drafts, so make sure to do that. We are on the clock though. I'm not a Joe Mixon stan. I am not about that life, and we have some great receivers in the hands here right now. It's easy for me. Calvin Ridley always. I think he's a round 1 wide receiver kind of talent, and where his ADP's at, you can get him at the end of the second round, maybe into the 3rd round. So it's always Calvin Ridley for me in this kind of situation. That's where it gets kind of fun, though. We have players like Antonio Gibson, J.K. Dobbins will get a lot of work in Baltimore. Then it takes a drop off there, kind of after Clyde Edwards-Helaire a little bit. As far as wide receivers goes, there's amazing receivers, so we have some time to develop that. But for the sake of this one, because I think Antonio Gibson is going to get so much work. I was thinking about Justin Jefferson, but I think Antonio Gibson, we now have our running backs locked down. This is kind of how we started last draft, with 2 great running backs and a good number 1 receiver, and we'll see how this plays out. We'll see if I want to go. I'm not going tight end early. I'm now committed to that. I've only got the top 3 tight ends for right now in this spot. I'm going to wait on it. And Kyle Pitts goes in the 4th round as well. But there, Justin Jefferson, Swift, Waller, and Kittle go back to back. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Dobbins, Robinson, McLaurin, Keenan Allen going pretty late as well. That's a steal for team 4 here with McLaurin, Hopkins, and Allen and Eckler. Kind of crazy team already handed out over there. Josh Jacobs, quarterbacks are going off the board now. Josh Allen and Kyler. Something I also wanted to do in that last video was probably should have taken Kyler over Lamar. If Kyler's there, he's going to be a monster, and I think he's going to be better than Lamar is. So I think I should have taken Kyler there, but we don't have that option this time. Chris Carson, Sanders, Pitts going in the 4th round. So people are reaching for Pitts as well, but it's understandable. On a team that is has a lot of vacant targets with Julio Jones not being there, and Mike Davis is their only running back, basically. If they did sign Deontay Foreman, I think, today, if I remember correctly, but, I mean, it's still the Calvin Ridley, potentially Kyle Pitts show there in Atlanta. Darrell Henderson, going there. And now it is up to us. David Montgomery is a fantastic choice here. And there's just so much wide receiver pool that I'm really not worried about anything else going. So I'm going to go for the 3 running back start here with David Montgomery. It makes our running back core just insane. Obviously, David Montgomery is... He could be insane with that team, especially with an improved quarterback in Justin Fields. The only issue people can see is that Justin Fields is very good on his feet, very quick. Could take some end zone touches away from Montgomery, but I don't realistically see that diving too much into his production, considering how much he upgraded himself last year. So I think David Montgomery here is fantastic. Running back situation, we are done basically for the rest of the draft at this point. So we'll see how that pans out for us. As tight ends go, this is now that spot where I don't want any tight end until the end of the draft. After these main 5 guys, even I would say I would cut it off potentially at Kittle and Waller. I don't know about these two reaching still in the 4th round, but we're not going to worry about tight end for a long time. And Lamar's that only quarterback there that we're realistically looking at. And I don't really think that's worth a pick either. So we'll just go ahead and take a look at the overall draft board, see what's kind of available. And it might just have to be Lamar, because I have already talked about this. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are fantastic players, but they're very coin flip, and it's really difficult for me to want to take them in a situation like this when I know I can get much better players. And so I might take a wide receiver here. We're going to pass on Lamar, and potentially we can go later in Browns quarterbacks with Prescott or Herbert. Really fantastic picks still. I'm actually going to reach a little bit because I think with a healthy Prescott and a no Cooper, CeeDee Lamb is well worth a 5th round pick, especially as our wide receiver too. He is going to get so much work there in Dallas. Lamar goes immediately after, so that was our time to take Lamar if we wanted him. Now a whole bunch of wide receivers go off the board, which is unfortunate because I wanted a lot of these people, but they're all gone now. Cooper, Kupp, which is so funny that they keep going. Cooper Kupp is his name, but Amari Cooper and then Kupp. Evans and Godwin go next. Thielen and DJ Moore, Travis Etienne, Russell Wilson, and Herbert go in the next round. Woods, Lockett, Jamar Chase, who I was eyeing as well. Brandon Ayuk, who I was hopeful to get, and Kareem Hunt go down the list. So now we are stuck with a decision. If we want to go with that huge drop-off before, we can go with the stack. I'm a huge fan of stacks. I think they work really well. And if Dak Prescott is okay, he's making progress. You can see right there. I mean, he was monstrous at the beginning of the year. They obviously only had a few games total to kind of see that, but you see how many times he's throwing the ball, 50 plus twice against some decent teams, and he can make a lot of things happen for that team. So if Dak is fully back, I think it's an easy pick here, especially with the stack like I've talked about. But we'll see. I like the rest of the quarterbacks down here, like even someone like Matthew Stafford with his weapons like Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods in LA. I think that team could actually be a playoff-esque team. So really excited to see how that pans out. Right now, I'm not too worried about it, even though this guy could go quarterback in front of me. That is the only worry, but I don't think he's reaching for who I want to go for. So I am going to take Dak here. I'm going to go with the stack. Devontae Smith and then Aaron Rodgers. So probably would have taken Dak right there if we didn't. So kind of a good choice to do that. And it back to us on the clock. TJ Hawkinson's not someone I'm overly excited about. Obviously, Jared Goff loves to dump off passes to his tight ends. We've seen that work with 2 tight ends in the past, but I just don't know how I feel about TJ Hawkinson yet. I don't think he's worth a high pick on a tight end either. I'd rather just go for a flyer later in the draft. And from what I can see on the board, there's some really enticing picks. Like I said, running back, we're pretty much done for. We don't have to worry about one of these guys for a long time because we have such a stacked running back core. This is where we're looking at wide receiver. I have already said many times, I'm out on Kenny Golladay just completely. I don't think he's worth the pick. I think with this aggravated hamstring once again in training camp, which lingered all of last year, it's just going to be an issue this year as well. And he's in New York with Daniel Jones, a much weaker quarterback than Stafford is. So I don't know how I feel 100% about Kenny G. But I'm out for him. It's like always a must pick for Deontay Johnson for me. I'm just looking at what's around him. And I've already talked about this. And I know a lot of people are out on OBJ, but for the round you're getting him in the 7th round right now. For a wide receiver 1 caliber talent in OBJ, which they've already said him and Baker Mayfield have come out and said they're making progress. They're working one-on-ones. You can see it right there. They are trying to develop that chemistry that they missed on and they lacked so much of in the future. So I would normally go Deontay Johnson here, but I'm going to go OBJ because I'm going to be one of those truthers, those OBJ truthers that is going to say that he has an incredible comeback year this year. And with the developments and the plays that Baker's going to have with him. If you haven't watched, there's a video, I forgot his name now, but he makes fantastic like in-depth film reviews on YouTube. Make sure to go watch his clip or watch his YouTube video about OBJ. It's incredible to see what the chemistry between these two caused and how it can be much better this year. Realistically, this is where they could have a huge comeback year together, Baker and OBJ. So I think as a wide receiver 3 in the 7th round to get someone's talent like Odell Beckham Jr. is unbelievable. So I did reach a little bit on that instead of going for Deontay Johnson, but I still think it could pan out as a better pick, especially for where they're drafting him. Like I said, even if he busts most of the year, he's your 3rd wide receiver. He's only there as a backup, maybe a flex option, and that's perfect because it's OBJ. It's a great talent to have there. And I can make a whole video about that. But Kenny Galladay, Robinson, Brady, Lawrence going, Deontay Johnson, Javonte Williams, Hawkinson going off the board. Now the tight ends are Wilden out, so we'll see which one we take at the end of this one. Michael Thomas going in at the end of the 7th round too. Could be great. I just think he's going to get cut before the season starts with the type of things he says on Twitter is just wild. I'm so far away from Michael Thomas. Obviously, he's a fantastic slant runner, but he's just, there's gonna be so much chaos in New Orleans. But the issue is he's the only receiver in New Orleans. Like everyone else is getting hurt. They just have nobody else. It's like the Adam Troutman show over there in New Orleans. Going into the 8th round, Chase Edmonds, Higgins, DJ Chark, Fournette, Juju, Ronald Jones, Gordon, and then Fant to finish that one off. So now that we didn't pick Deontay Johnson, we have someone like Chase Claypool potentially, or we can go with another running back and really solidify our running back pool. And I am going to do that. Mike Davis, like I said, they did get another running back today, Deontay Foreman. I don't think it's going to be a huge cut into Mike Davis's efforts at one bit, so I think he'll be fine. And we still have someone like Chase Claypool to take if we wanted to, and I still think he could be the wide receiver 2 option there. And he just can be deep routes for how much Roethlisberger throws. Claypool could have a lot of touchdowns, a lot of deep touchdowns, and I think could be a wonderful flyer, especially in the 9th round. Once the other 2 Steelers wide receivers already goes, this is like one of the only teams in the NFL currently that you can take all 3 receivers and be confident in each one of them as far as their skill levels, and that's kind of impressive. I would say Tampa Bay is one of the other ones, and obviously Dallas too, but Gallup's a much later pick, and so is Antonio Brown. So I think that the Steelers wide receivers is always a good choice. Now we're on 4 running backs, so we are good to go there. Tight end is where we could potentially look, but like I said, there's just a huge drop-off, and it's something we can look at later. Tunyon is actually a decent shout because Rodgers has thrown it to him a bit. Irv Smith is there as well, and it becomes a mess the more you go down. And I'm actually leaning towards Adam Troutman because of all the things I said earlier, so I am going to wait a long time to get that tight end and probably get that way later in the draft. Portland Sutton, it could be a good shout, but I'm a Broncos fan. I said this before. Whoever the starting quarterback is, Teddy Bridgewater or Drew Lock, I'm not impressed with either one of their throwing abilities, and I just don't think it'll be the greatest situation there in Denver, but it doesn't mean that I won't pick one of them. I think it's close, but I think Cortland Sutton is a wide receiver 1, and to get him this late is a decent value. I think last year he was 4th or 5th round. Now he's dropped all the way down to the 9th after obviously he had a bad injury, but even with the bad quarterback play in Denver, he could still catch a lot. And he gets to face some pretty nice defenses along the way in Denver. So I think that over Claypool, it's either one right there. Realistically, you can't go wrong. Then Jalen Waddle, Mostert, Michael Carter, Goddard, Jared Jeudy, Deebo Samuel, Gesicki, Kenyon Drake. Also, Gesicki is a fantastic shout too. For a late-round tight end, he is amazing. Had some really good games last year and can only develop more as far as him and Tua goes into this one. I was hoping Brandon Cooks got back or Laviska Shenault, so it's unfortunate we got neither of them. Because they're going to be wide receiver 1s potentially on their team, and to get them in the 10th round would be great. Will Fuller, just a mess. Marquise Brown, James Conner, Damian Harris, who's another running back I like, and Jarvis Landry. Now we got 4 wide receivers and 4 running backs. Going into the last 3 picks of the draft, like I said, I took out kicker and defense, just 2 more bench spots and a tight end to fill. And we realistically, we can take a tight end for last just because of how far down on the list Adam Troutman is, which is probably going to be my ideal landing spot. So we can just look at value and see what's on the board. And right now, it's quite simple for me. David Johnson this late into the draft. He is the starting running back in Houston, whether it has Deshaun Watson or not. He's still going to get probably 200 carries, and it's going to be still his offense realistically as far as running goes. So I'm really not worried about that pick. I think that's still a great pick to go into the future. Then Tyler Boyd obviously dropped a lot, but this is where I constantly talk about 3 players in particular. Antonio Brown, Michael Pittman, and Mike Williams here are all just insane picks as for the value at this point in time. Like I said, Tampa Bay, one of the only teams besides the Steelers and maybe one other team that has 3 realistic great wide receivers on that team. And to get one of the greatest NFL receivers of all time, potentially, Antonio Brown, you know, before everything happened, in the 11th round, even if you never play him the entire season, if Mike Evans or Chris Godwin goes down, suddenly he gets a boatload of targets, and with his talent, I think he can still develop and be fantastic. Same with Michael Pittman. I just hate Carson Wentz, and he hurt himself already in the season, so not really happy about that one. But it's Mike Williams or Antonio Brown here. I've already talked so much about why I like Mike Williams so much already. Justin Herbert's fantastic, and Mike Williams is the 3rd option there in Los Angeles after Keenan Allen and Eckler, of course. But he's going to get a lot of deep throws, and like I've said before, if he doesn't be Superman for every catch and hurt himself or hurt his back every time he lands, he's a great wide receiver and is one of the best at what he does. So I convinced myself to go Mike Williams here over Antonio Brown, but that's who I would have picked besides that. Also, you can look at wide receivers like Rashad Bateman, who could potentially be the wide receiver 1 in Baltimore, depending on how this year pans out. Or you can go somewhere down the line like Elijah Moore, who has had insane training camp value, and people have been so excited to see what Elijah Moore can do, because he's apparently been the best wide receiver in New York for the Jets in this time of practice and preseason. So that is another late round flyer. If you have some more bench spots, the deeper you go into this one, Elijah Moore is just such a great pick. Like I've said, it's crazy to see how far T.Y. Hilton has dropped. It's so sad, but kind of the case there. Marvin Jones is also a good shout in the late rounds, and Cole Beasley is also just the safe bet most of the time. So you can go with that. But the last pick of the draft for us got to be a tight end. Not really feeling anyone else. Maybe Evan Ingram is a player. I mean, for where you're getting him, Evan Ingram could be fantastic. Johnny Smith with Cam Newton, I'm not exactly excited about that. Zach Ertz, I'm not excited about the split. But for me, it's Adam Troutman or Evan Ingram here. I'm actually going to go Evan Ingram over Troutman in this situation. I think for where you're getting him, Evan Ingram used to be like a top 3 tight end, and he's just barely moved from there. Obviously, he's had a rough couple of seasons, but he is, like, you know, he's on a rookie contract, end of the rookie contract. This is a super important year for him. If Golladay misses time, which he will, he's going to be the number 1 option once again. Same with Barkley. Barkley's going to miss time too, at least potentially 1 or 2 weeks at the beginning of the season. That's what is rumored to be believed. So it's a lot of targets still for Evan Ingram, and to get him where you're getting him is just complete value. So I think that's a huge pick for us. If we want to go take a look at our roster, so our main quarterback, obviously Dak Prescott. Running backs, Dalvin Cook and Antonio Gibson. Calvin Ridley and CeeDee Lamb are receivers. Evan Ingram are tight end. David Montgomery are flex option. And then we have Odell Beckham Jr., Mike Davis, Cortland Sutton, David Johnson, and Mike Williams on our bench. This is, in my eyes, a fantastic draft. We have 3 wide receivers that could potentially, you know, obviously Mike Williams less so, but 2 wide receivers in Cortland Sutton and OBJ that are without a doubt the number 1 targets on their team as far as wide receivers goes. Obviously, Jarvis Landry and Jerry Jeudy could cut into both of their actions, but with the talent that these two have, with where you can get them especially, I think it's a no-brainer, and I think it's a fantastic pick for us. And Mike Davis, like I said, is going to have most of the work in Atlanta, so it's a great backup running back in case you need to plug him in at any point. Same with David Johnson. Same exact situation. He is uncontested for carries in Houston, so it is his backfield, and it's going to be focused on him. But that is a great-looking draft, in my opinion. We went tight end later for this one, and we didn't go for as early as a quarterback as normal as we did last time with Lamar on that split, on that turn pick at the number 1. But let me know how you guys feel about this number 2 pick draft. Let me know what you want to see in the future as well. Of course, I already said that, but please let me know how you guys feel about these videos. And if you want to see these coming, please leave a like and a subscription down below, because I do want to realistically make, like I said, all of these other teams go in the 3 spot, go in the 4 spot, 5 spot, etc. in the 10-team PPRs, just to see how teams turn out and where you can kind of make those rash decisions of more than likely tight end, quarterback, and those really deep kind of questions of, do I go one running back early and try and hope for the best late, or switch that around because the wide receiver pool is so deep. You can see the kind of wide receivers, by the way, going at the end of this draft. In the last 4 rounds, you have number 1 wide receiver on the team, Courtland Sutton. Chase Claypool is going to get a lot of targets. Waddle, who played with Tua in Alabama, they could be fantastic together. Jared Jeudy, also same situation as Courtland Sutton, just fantastic potential. Deebo Samuel is going to be the number 1 option besides Ayuk and Kittle, of course. But Brandon Cooks, who's the number 1 receiver, if Watson does play, Brandon Cooks is number 1 target, and he's easily going to get over 1,000 yards as he's been able to do so for so many years straight. Same with Laviska Shenault. Mike Williams, like I said, Rashad Bateman, Elijah Moore. These are the kind of rookie wide receivers that you could look at late rounds that could be the number 1 wide receiver on their team by the end of the year. So make sure to keep an eye out for those kind of players. And yeah, let me know how I did in this draft, how you feel about going late tight end, how you feel about going mid-round QB, or if you'd prefer to just take a flyer late on someone like Tom Brady or Joe Burrow, one of those late-round quarterbacks that you'll still get good value with no matter the case. But that is number 2 pick done and dusted. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you next time.